You see them every day, right? Scurrying across the sidewalk, maybe trying to steal a crumb from your picnic. But what if I told you that the humble ant is one of the most successful, most sophisticated, and frankly, one of the most powerful creatures on this entire planet? Today, we're going to dive deep into the world of the ant, and trust me, you are never going to look at them the same way again. So, let's just start with a quick question. Imagine for a second if you had the same strength as an ant, pound for pound, could you lift a van with your teeth? Sounds completely absurd, right? But the answer to that question gets to the very heart of what makes these tiny insects one of nature's greatest success stories. But believe me, that mind boggling strength, that is just scratching the surface. Before we even get to their individual power, we have to talk about their sheer numbers. See, ants aren't just strong, they are a global powerhouse. They are one of the most dominant forms of life on Earth. I mean, just try to wrap your head around this. We know of over 12,000 different species of ants, and they have colonized every single continent on the planet, except for, Antarctica. From the deepest rainforests to the driest deserts, and yeah, even our own kitchens, they have pretty much conquered the world. So, how in the world did they pull off this global takeover? Well, it all starts with their basic design. To really understand the colony, you first have to understand the individual ant. So, what's the basic blueprint we're working with here? It's actually a beautifully simple and efficient design. Every ant has just three main parts. You've got the head, which has these powerful jaws for working and fighting, an antenna that they use to feel and smell the world around them. Then there's the thorax. That's the engine room, where all six legs are attached. And finally, the abdomen, which holds all the important organs. It's a simple, effective toolkit for a very complex life. And every single one of these ants goes through this wild transformation called metamorphosis. They start out as a tiny egg, then hatch into this helpless little grub, a larva with no eyes or legs. Then it seals itself inside a cocoon as a pupa. And this is the crazy part. Inside, its body literally turns to goo and then completely rebuilds itself from scratch until it finally emerges as the adult ant we all recognize. Okay, so we've got their basic design. Now let's get back to that unbelievable strength. Because in the entire animal kingdom, ants are, without a doubt, the pound for pound champions. So just how strong are we talking? Well, some species, like the common mound ant you might see in your backyard, can carry up to 5,000 times their own body weight. Let that sink in for a second. It's a feat of strength that's, well, it's almost impossible for us to even comprehend. To put that into perspective for you, for an average person to do the same thing, you would have to lift 11 semi-trucks, all at once. That's the kind of power we're talking about, packed into that tiny little body. And their physical abilities don't just stop with lifting. If we could scale an ant up to our size, it'd basically be a superhero. It could run faster than a racehorse, and it could jump over a 4-story building just by launching itself with its jaws. No joke. And the superpowers just keep coming. Get this, most ants can survive being underwater for nearly 24 hours. They basically just hit pause, entering this state of suspended animation, holding their breath for almost an entire day. But here's the thing. An ant's individual strength, as absolutely mind-blowing as it is really only half the story. The true secret to their success, their global domination, is how they work together. They function less like a group of individuals and more like a single brain in thousands of bodies, a true superorganism. Inside this superorganism, every ant is born with a very specific job. You have the queen. She's basically a non-stop egg-laying machine. Then you've got the workers, countless of them, who build the nest, take care of the babies, and go out to find food. And finally, you've got the soldiers. They're bigger, stronger, with massive jaws, and they have one job: defend the colony at all costs. It's this extreme specialization that makes them so ridiculously efficient. So what happens when you combine that hyper-efficient society with all those individual superpowers we just talked about? Well, you get some collective abilities that sound like they're pulled straight out of science fiction. Take agriculture, for instance. Ants mastered farming millions of years before humans ever did. Leafcutter ants have these huge underground gardens where they grow their own fungus. Other species act like tiny ranchers. They herd and protect aphids, which they milk for a sweet liquid called honeydew. And they are so protective of their little livestock, they'll actually chew the aphids' wings off to stop them from flying away. Their collective behavior can also get, well, pretty brutal. There are slave maker ants that raid other colonies, steal their young, and raise them as slaves. There are turtle ants whose soldiers have these big, flat, shield-shaped heads that they use to perfectly plug the entrance to the nest, becoming a living door. And then, in maybe the most extreme act of self-defense ever, some carpenter ants will literally explode, spraying a toxic, sticky glue all over their enemies. And when these colonies cooperate, their scale becomes almost impossible to comprehend. The largest known ant supercolony on record is made up of Argentine ants in Europe. It's a network that stretches for over 3,700 miles. That's billions of ants all working together in what is basically one massive continent-spanning city. And let's not forget, some of them are just plain dangerous. The bulldog ant from Australia is considered the most dangerous ant in the world. It doesn't just bite or sting you once. It latches on with its massive jaws and then stings you over and over and over again. So let's just recap. We have individual ants strong enough to lift a truck. We have complex societies that practice farming and wage war, and we have colonies that can build civilizations that span entire continents. We like to think we're the dominant species on this planet, but after hearing all of that, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who really runs the world?